schemas and dictionary tables, catalog views, and everything for you. So initialization is very important. Without that, you won't be able to create your Postgres cluster. Apart from that, create DB is like you can also use the utility called as create DB command. I mean, the simple syntax. It's you need to mention create database and then the name of the database you want to give it to it, right? So otherwise, if you don't want to do that through the command line, so you always have the utility which is present under the bin directory, right? So call the create DB and then pass the name. And if you want to allocate a specific wall segment size and other conditions to it, you can also do that through the create db command. Vacuum db we already covered. pgctl is something that if you want to do a bounce of your database, stop and start, or else if you make changes to your configuration file, and then in order to make those changes persistent, one of the ways to start and stop your database using pg_ctl. Again, this all of these utilities always sits or house inside your software installation directory, which usually your bin directory. Okay, so now left with pg dump all pg base backup. It's a very important concept because that's how you actually take your database backup. So talking about the backup, I have prepared a presentation for you guys. Let's quickly switch to that. Okie dokie. All right. So what is a backup, right? We need to first of all understand what is a backup, what's the importance of that, what types of backup exist in Postgres, and I'll show you some commands, and then we'll switch to my virtual machine, the VM, the test VM that I prepared for this specific course, right? And then we'll do some hands-on, right? I'll show you how to take the backups and and all those things. So talking about the backups is it's one of the most vital or the critical task in database administration. That means you have database where everyone is coming and modifying or adding something, right? So you should be very careful about the disaster recovery scenario. For example, imagine a situation, your data center is flooded with water, right? Or due to some other networking problem, it got shut down, right? So there should be some kind of a backup mechanism or a methodology that you should be scheduled through cron or through any other auto scheduling mechanism, so that every now and then your database should be backed up, right? Not only a database in form of data files, but also the archive files, or what we call as a wall files as well. So in case of any disaster, you should first of all restore your data file or database first, and then do the recovery using those wall segment and archive files. So uh, talking about different type of database backups we have in Postgres, we always have the full database backup. So full means you backup everything that is present on the database, or else you can also do the partial database backups, right? Full means every database. For example, in total, you've got 10 database on your database cluster, Postgres database cluster. So you want to take a backup of each one of them. So you can always go and do the full backup. And on the other hand, if you only want to do a backup of 2 or 3 database or single database, then that's called a partial database backup. And what else? For example, if you want to take backup of table structure, right? For the DDL definition, like what was the command to create a table? For example, this table has got 300 different columns, right? And a complicated primary key and other constraint definitions. So it's not that easy. If the request is there and if you have to create the same table with the same name in, for example, in other test environment, then you should always go and fetch or collect the DDL or the structural information of that table, right? In both the data and the structures. Yeah, that kind of backup it's also possible. And third and most important point is, or the type of backup is point in time recovery, or what in short we call as PITR. Point in time recovery means, for example, you have lost a table or some form of a data, I think 3 hours back. Let's take a hypothetical situation. So 3 hours back, you lost some data. And after that 3 hour, very insignificant changes has happened on this database, right? So you do not want those changes to restore, right? You only want the table and that disaster, or that that mistake that happened by or through any developer, where he mistakenly dropped some tables or maybe some rows from a specific table. So in that point of time, you can go back in time and put your database to that specific timestamp or point in time in past. That is called as point in time recovery. Otherwise, the important we talked about backing up a database, and the important point and the most important thing is the restore, right? And its performance. So restoration is what? Once you take the backup and when the disaster happens or requirement is there, then you use that backup set and restore your database to get all of the things back, right? And with consistent state, so that you don't have any missed data or corrupted data in any form, Right now, talking about the different categories or type of backups that exist in Postgres. So I have prepared this, this image, this graph, this diagram. So where I've segregated or differentiated the different Postgres backups we have. So the first is the physical backup, and then second is the logical backup. So these are two are the primary divisions of Postgres backup or categories of Postgres backup. Talking about physical backups, I mean to say, or I'm referring to the data files, right? Earlier I've showed you, like within the base directory, you need to first identify the OIDs of the table and then the respective ID number of that table file or a data file and its respective underscore FSM and VM visibility map and free space manager specific file, right? So that means physical backups is something that copies that everything that is relevant to any specific object in the database, right? And it simply copies its file which are under its realm, right, or under its sovereignty or control from the OS. So for example, there is a table called test, and test table has different indexes and different views which are dependent, right? You have run multiple vacuums on that table, and now you want to take a backup of that test table. So then and you want to take a physical backup. So that means you are instructing your database to take backup of those physical file from the disk, right? Nothing logical is involved here. So it's talking about physical, you are actually simply copying the physical files, right? Now, physical backups again are divided into further two categories called as hot backup and a cold backup. Talking about hot backup, I mean, these categories or generalizations are pretty generic, right? So you'll see these terminology used in OS and in fact with any other database like Oracle, in fact MySQL and SQL Server too, right? Because hot backup means when you are taking the backup of your database when it's still running and operational. You have not stopped it, operations are on. I mean, everyone is connected and selecting and manipulating the data, right? And it's all up, right? And even in that point, you are taking backup. That's called as a hot backup. So that means your database is running, but the only condition to take hot backup for your Postgres database that you have to put your database in the archive log mode. And if you guys are able to recall it, because archiving is something that we have discussed on day one, day two, I mean, all of these 3 days that have been passed, right? Putting database in archive log means uh, you want the wall logs not to be recycled or reused by the wall writer process. Instead, before rewriting the contents of wall information by the log writer, it it simply copies the information, the wall segments to the disk, right, in the form of archives, right? For example, that's how you are able to preserve the history, like of all of the changes that has happened so far, right? And it depends on the size of the storage that you have allocated for your archive files. For example, you've got a banking environment and you want to keep every change that has happened in this database that's from banking domain, right? You don't want to lose it. So that's why in that case, you have to first of all do a proper sizing and capacity planning for your disk, right? Accordingly, right? You have to first of all measure the amount of wall generated every day, considering, I mean, both the non-peak and peak hours, right? And during the weekends, right? And after that, you have to size it so that you have enough or sufficient archives so that in case of any requirement, you can recover and restore your database to any specific point in time in past, right? Using those archives, right? So in order to take the hot backup, that's while your database is running, that means you have to put your database in archive log mode. And then the first command that you have to do is select pg start backup and then pass the name of that database. Like here in this example, I've used nigam is the name of the database which you want to take the backup for. So using this function called as pg underscore start underscore backup and then passing in single quotes the name of the database will actually start taking the backup of all of the relevant, data files that are present on the disk. Or else, what else you can do? You can always go cp, I mean, after that, once you put the your database in a backup mode, right? And then you can go copy those contents, the physical files which are present in your pg data or your Postgres installation directory or base directory where all of the files are located. Copy -r, I mean, copy every directory that's present under pg underscore data directory and keep it somewhere safe. Like for example, you want to put it on somewhere on another disk, on another host, right? So just you can do that. That's how, right? Because that's how it's actually freezes the header of the files to make it little bit consistent so that you won't miss any data, right? Of course, the changes that is happening during the time of that backup, of course, will not be there in that backup, but to make it consistent, in order to start it and to make it consistent, you have to put your database using pg start backup in backup mode. And then once you have successfully copied all of the files from the base directory, then you need to execute pg underscore stop underscore backup, right? That means you are now, you're done with your database backup, and you need to stop it. And yeah, remember the performance point, right? Because in case if you somehow forgets to, you know, to remove your database from stopping that backup which you earlier started, it can cause some massive performance degradations or some other bottlenecks. So never ever forget, like you have already completed your backup using hot backup technique. Now there is a time when everything is okay, you need to stop it, right? Using pg underscore stop underscore backup. So let me use that pointer option and laser pointer. Okay, so I'm talking about this point, last point, pg underscore stop underscore backup. Okay, what else? Cold backup. Okay, cold backup, that means you want to have a consistent of the exact copy of the database, right? So in that case, that means you want everything to be consistent, perfectly in shape and in sync. Not even a single record should be missed. In that case, if that is allowed or permissible, of course not during the weekdays but during the weekend, then you can stop your server, your database, that means pg underscore ctl stop, and then using general OS command, like the same how we actually used at this point during OS backup, backup your database, or else you can do the rsync wherever you want to push your data or copy your data saves. Any questions about the physical backups, guys? The hot backup, cold backup, and its techniques? Hello?
No question.
Okay, perfect. Let's move to the logical backup categories. That's one of the another important type or category of a database backup, right? So here you have to use two inbuilt utilities called as pg dump and pg dump all. Okay, uh, let me show you. Let's quickly switch to our test machine, right? And there I'll show you like how to do it. Oh, okay. I'm going to resume this virtual machine from the same spot where you left earlier. And I'll show you where you will find or locate these utilities which we just discussed, right? I mean, I'm talking about the pg dump and pg dump all, right? Okay, it's up. What happened? Hmm, come on, yeah. I don't know, some issue happened with this virtual machine, but today is very important. I need to show a lot of stuff to you. So just a second, let me troubleshoot first. Mm. Ah, okay, it's back. Yeah. Mm. All right, perfect. Let's go to the bin directory. So I was talking about these utility. Right, the pg underscore dump and pg underscore dump all, right? So in order to take backup of a single database and objects, you should always go with you and use this pg underscore dump utility. Otherwise, for if you want to take for the entire cluster, the backup of the entire cluster, you have pg underscore dump all. This basically takes backup for the entire cluster. All right. Okay, now moving back to that slide. So PG dump, right? So this supports the plain text custom format as well. So if you want to have your backup in a text format, right, human readable format, you can do that. If you want to generate the backup in any other custom format, that's also possible. And second point is objects like schema, table, database, something that you can take backup of using pg underscore dump utility. Two methods of the restore: pg underscore restore and simple plain the text format. For example, if you have taken the backup of the your for example your table, right, using pg underscore dump, in that case you have to when you need to recover or restore it, then you have to use this another utility called as pg underscore restore. Where is that utility? Here is the utility pg restore. Where is that? Yeah, here is the utility. At the time of the need, when you have to use that database dump or backup of your table or your entire cluster or database, then you can use this utility pg restore. And for the plain format, for example, you have generated your backup in a .sql format, text format, then you can always go psql and then directly call that file through /i command, and then automatically that file will be picked from the os, and it contents will be started executing on the database and will create the structure and insert the rows for you, right? Another category of logical backup is called pg underscore dump all. This is useful when you want to take backup for the full cluster, right? For example, every day you have this backup strategy of taking backup of only important objects like table schemas and databases, right? Or databases, like out of 100 database that you have in your database cluster, you take backup of only out 10 out of them, because those are very crucial and important for your business to run, for a smooth run of it, right? So but every weekend, during Friday midnight, when you have very less traffic and you have weekend coming, so at that point you have a backup schedule which actually checks and take backup of entire cluster that covers everything, each one of those 100 database and its contents, right, in objects, dependent objects, everything. So yeah, that's how it actually works. Apart from that, you see, like, I have created a box physical pg based backup separately. What's the purpose? What's the use? Why it's not there under this this b tree structure or this binary tree structure? Why it's not? Because this is the another category of physical backup, right? This is also a kind of a physical backup, but this is very new and very efficient, right? Because this basically pg underscore base backup utility, this is present here in the same directory, base backup. Where is that? pg base, yeah, here is the utility pg base backup, right? So this basically used to back up your entire database cluster, Postgres database cluster. It's not used to take backup of tables, because tables and schema and database is something that is logical, right? It's not physical. This is something logical, that is you cannot touch or you only see, right? But physical is something that you can see on your operating system in the form of files, right? So same way, this physical backup using pg underscore base backup is used, especially when your database size is 200 GB, because it's very performant. It's highly effective and it's got a lot of features and command and flags and options how you can optimize your database backup speed and recovery, right? So it's also used for replication. That is something that is out of scope at this point. I mean, if you want to create high availability, if you want to create a streaming or a logical replication for your production Postgres cluster, then you can create a replication for it, right? And in order to create replication, you always have to take backup of your primary PG data directory and using PG based backup. So it's very useful for that too, right? So it's useful for server to server backup. So any question, doubt, confusion, perplexion related with regarding any of the division or the segregation for backups, guys?
No person,
Silence
nothing.
means no question. Okay. All right.
Sorry, nothing.
Very cool. Okay, fine, fine, fine. All right, so let's do some hands-on, right? So let's dirty our hands. Let's do something. Let's see how we take over the backup. Correct. All right. So as I told you, like pg underscore dump and pg underscore dump polls are the tool that are very helpful and quite useful and handy to take backup of database. It's a very easy and effective way to do that. So let's do it like this way. Let's take a backup. First of all, let me show you. Let's connect to the database, right? Let's do a DT plus. Okay, so these many table are existed for this. We are connected with the database called as enterprise. If you want to see list of database, how many databases and with the names are, this is how you can do that, right? You have these many databases, right? These many databases. So we are currently connected with enterprise DB database and with OS user enterprise DB or database user basically enterprise DB through port number 5444 and with socket information sitting in /temp. Okay, fine. Now, out of these tables, right, you want to take backup of, let's say, Tesla table, right? What's there in Tesla? This table has got this information. In total, it got 10 rows, right? And you want to take the entire table and its rows, right? So how you can do that? You need to go to bin directory, right? Then you have to call pg dump. As I told you, pg dump is the utility that you can use to take backup of your single database, right? Or tables or multiple tables or something like that, right? Okay, pg dump, then you have to pass the username. So this table is part of the enterprise DB user, right? And then -w. Not let's not use -w because that is for multiple table. Let's try it for single table then, right? We're done with username. Then -t is a flag that represents or notifies the table name. Right? Tesla is the table name you want to take backup. Or database. What's the name of the database? Database name is also enterprise DB, right? Right, and where you want to keep this database. For example, I want to take this backup in .sql format, right, so that I can later on execute when required through psql terminal, right? So let's create it in the you know, the home directory of this enterprise DB username. Let's give it this name. Okay, completed. No error means it's completed, right? So let me open a fresh window, a new window. We are right now connected with the user's home directory. So now if you go and see here, you see you've got the backup tesla.sql, right? This is what we pointed, right? We want to put the backup in SQL file in human readable text format. If you go and try to read this file, you see like it actually sets these many parameters and then it copies the create table structure or definition, and then this table ownership has been changed, and then it copies what? It copies the row. Take a look. It also copies row view. That's the end of this file, right? This is the content of this. All right, fantastic. So we are done with the single table level backup using pgdump utility. Okay, now let's take for multiple tables, right? And what are the other tables we've got? Okay, we've got yeah, these many tables. We tried with Tesla, but we want to take Tesla and one more table. Let's say a small table, not much big table. We'll try, right? Let's take demo one. Okay, Tesla with demo one. Okay, I'll reuse the same command -t and then one more time -t demo one. Okay, and then Tesla and demo table. Let's do it. It's done, right? Let's go back to the home directory because we pointed the backup to that location. Yes, the size is 1.2 MB. Now, if you go and open it in any of your favorite editor, most probably it should be, you know, VA editor, then you will see the definition has been created. So you got the backup of your database along with its row information and everything, but in the human readable format, right? So for example, in any case, right, your data is removed or corrupted or it's not available, right? So then you can always go and take the backup and restore it. Correct? Then you have to use pg underscore restore for restoration purpose. I'm not going to cover restoration here because for that I need to drop tables and then this and that, right? So it's very simple. The way how you actually call pg underscore dump or right for single table, you have to do the same for single and multiple using pg underscore restore. Every flag is same. Then you have to mention the path of the dump file or the SQL file where you which you actually created. That's it. Simple. Okay, let's get back to the terminal, right? For example, if you are interested to take backup of a database, let's say, right? How many databases we have? You've got these many database. Okay. Let's do only L, right? Okay. We've got these many database. Let's take a backup of Dikshit database. The name of the database is Dikshit. Earlier we tried the enterprise DB, but let's now try with the EDB, with Dikshit database, right? And it will take backup of everything that's part of this backup. So before that, let's connect to the Dikshit database. Yeah, right. And user one. Let's see. Okay, so right now we are connected with the Dikshit database and through user one. Let's see what all we have. So we only got this table called as EC. What's there inside EC? We've got these many things, 3 entries in short, 3 rows, right? So yeah, it has got a table, right? DTV. Okay, yeah, only table. Now PG underscore dump, and now you have to mention the name of username is this time is user one, right? User one, and then hyphen W for database, hyphen D. Hyphen W for like you're interested to take backup of a database. Hyphen D is the name of the database. Dikshit was the name of the database, right? And then let's point this backup to again the home directory and full dikshitdb.sql. Password, it will ask for password. We're right because we are taking backup of the full database. That's a security feature. Let's go back to the home directory. Yes, we've got the full dikshitdb.sql with us, right? Let's see what's inside this file. Okay, after this, like this, we have got the the create table or the data definition for this. And finally, it has also got these many entries. So we are all okay, right? So now we have successfully taken backup of single, multiple tables, and we just show a demo for taking backup of the entire database, right? And I discussed about, taking the entire cluster backup, correct? Cluster backup means, for example, in our case, like we've got, let me show you. We've got these many databases. So everything that's part of these databases should be captured in that backup. So what you have to do, you have to use pg dump all, right? This is for the entire database, right? So let's take a backup. You have to pass one username at least, right? And you are taking backup of everything. Hyphen f hyphen let's take for the file name, file name. Okay, full cluster.sql, right? Here you have to pass password every time for each and every single database. In total, I guess we've got 10 databases, so you have to punch the password for all of them. In case of any incorrect password, it will reject it. And the size of this will be very huge because one of the database called as enterprise DB is very big in size, right? So let's see. Now this one is taking time. Mm, and let's keep an eye directory where it's generating or creating that dump file. Okay, it's actually consuming a lot of IO, right? Because I have a single core machine. 430 MB so far is generated by this database file, right? And let's see, 529 so far. It's still running. 621. Just keep on going. 711. 74. So it will take some time because one of the database has got some tables which are in fact few GBs in size, and many of them are in MBs, multiple MBs. So that's why it's consuming time in order to complete the backup. Okay, so it's gone, right? It's completed. Now it's again started doing a prompt. So size 833 MB. Fine. Let's wait till the time this backup is completed and let's see what's the total size. 938 MB so far for this full cluster backup. Okay, it's done. We are out of it, right? Let's see what's the total size. So in short, it actually created a database dump, which is 1.1 GB file in size, right? So if you check the uptime, it's a little higher. Uh, okay, well, right now it's not running, so let's not focus on it. Oh, we've got full cluster database backup, which is right now 1.1 GB in size, but it's a compressed format database dump, right? I'm not going to open this file for you because opening a 1.5 GB file, a text file, basically will consume a lot of things, right? It might crash my system because it's not that uh, uh, resourcey or with a lot of computation power. So let me go and first of all remove it. All right. Whew. All right. So now we know how to take a backup of a single table, multiple table, and the database, and how to use the dump all utility for the entire cluster backup, right? So now when we already talking about the backups, why not take a PG based backup? PG based backup, PG based backup hyphen P is for port numbers. This always requires the port number. So how you check the port number? So for port number, you you have multiple ways. You can go to your PG data or base directory, right? And then do a more on postmaster.pid file. Here you've got 5444. Otherwise, you can get this information through PG underscore settings, which is a catalog table, or not a table, in fact, catalog view, right? So using PG underscore settings, where name equals to port, you can get this information too, right? Okay, so once you've got that information, right? Or else you can also do the net stat as well. Do a net stat, right? And then find the listen address or the net listen port for this Postgres process. You can simply look out for Postmaster process, right? That's how you can get the port specific details. Okay, so now you got the port number. So as I told you, PG based backup is used to copy the everything that is there on the disk. I mean the data file. It's used to take the physical files copy of your data file. Okay, so hyphen P is the port number. What else? Yes, the directory. I think. Yeah, let's make it simple because there are a lot of options that you can try with this, right? I mean, you can try with hyphen user, hyphen u. I mean for username, uh, right? But let's keep it default. And apart from port, you can use verbose, right? And then progress report sometimes hyphen p. And what else? If you want to make a format change, then you can use hyphen f. Or yes, directory is also one of the location. So let's use this location where lib edb hyphen yeah, as12, and then backup. All right, so we have started the backup using pg based backup command. So now if you go and check this location, you will see like files have successfully started creating here. Oh, no, not yet, not yet. Okay, it's still doing something. It's copying file from your PG base directory and copying it there. This will take a while. Let's wait for a few more seconds. It's still going on. No error so far. Right. So what I'll do, because this database is a little big, right? I do a lot of customer related testing here, POC here on this box. before implementing, right? So it could be a case like the size of this database is little high. I mean, this cluster is little high, right? So let me do a control C, right? Let's come out of it. But yeah, this is how you take the backup of the entire database. I mean, especially the physical copies, physical files, right? So are you all okay? Are we all in sync?
Yes, Prashant. Yes, Prashant.
Perfect. All right. What else? Okay. I think we are done with the backup part. Let's move to the next slide. So this is, please mute yourself, please.
Sorry.
Okay, now talking about the PostgreSQL data types. So these many data types we have got, right? We have got Boolean type, I mean true, false values. We have got character data types. We have got text data type, integer, and then the varchar and data type. Remember, we created a table using varchar. Varchar is kind of a data type, right? An integer, for example, if you want to put integer in the column of your table, then you have to use int or integer type. Array, right, or string information. Time data type, basically timestamp information. UUID, right, an incremental information. JSON, right? So this is, kind of a XML extension, basically JSON, right? And if you want to create a table with a column structure defined as a JSON type, JSON data type, so you can use JSON. So yeah, these are few highlights of the data types what you can use while creating your table and its columns. Next is, what is a DDL? This is now what I'm going to cover is a SQL. These things are more or less same if we compare it with leading databases, relational databases like Microsoft SQL Server, and especially with Oracle. So these are very relevant and close to Oracle command line, right? So DDL is what? DDL, I mean, I've segregated the overall SQL commands. So what is SQL? SQL is a programming language that you use to interact with your database. So you have your rows, columns, everything stored in your database, right, in the form of tables and everything. And if you want to fetch some data out of it, so what you can do, you can query, you can write the query, and get that information through from your database. So in short, there are different categories for the SQL statement. The very first is DDL. DDL is data definition language. For example, we tried create table, create index, create view. So these are the data definition, right? We are not creating any data or row, but we are simply creating the structure or a container where rows will be inserted or added later on. Alter, drop, truncate. Yeah, okay. Let me show you alter. I guess I haven't shown you any example for alter. It will be pretty easy, straightforward, right? So let's do a test. So we've got DT. Let's see what all we have in Tesla table or maybe demo table. Okay. So in short, we have got two columns. First column is ID, and then next is ID2. And how many rows it has? This is how you do it. Select count. Count means you are actually putting a count on rows, like how many rows are present. Every row, star means every row that is present in this table from demo one. Okay, so we have got 10,000. No, it's lakh. 1 lakh rows in this demo one table. So that's the total count, right? So D1 demo 1. All right, so we have got two columns. The first column is with integer type and is a plain storage, right? So now talking about alter command, like if you remember, I just mentioned about alter command. So create, we have already discussed. Now talking about alter command, the purpose of alter command is when you want to modify something, like we have got these two columns. Let's do an alter table demo one, right? And then, for example, if I want to rename the column, rename column, let's make ID2, ID2 test ID. I want to, I mean, I've created this table initially, but later on I realized, okay, it's best like for better usage and for a better understanding or explanation to anyone new, right? Let's make it this ID column change to value ID to ID, test ID. So now the name of the column in this table demo one will be changed from ID to test ID. Oh, I did a mistake. name. Yes, this command is successfully completed. So now let's go back. Do I do a describe on demo1 table. Now if you see, it has changed successfully from ID to test ID. So now the column has been changed. Do a select from demo1. Now if you see, the column name header has been changed. So now that's how you do the alter, right? uh what else? uh Truncate. Okay, for example, in this table we've got from demo1, right? We've got 1 lakh rows, and if you want to remove each one of them, like you don't want that test row information to be, because for example, this database is still in test run, it's still not production, right? So in production, because before going to production you did some sanity, and your application during the sanity has created some random information, some gibberish into this table, right, in the form of these 1 lakh rows. And you, because these 1 lakh rows are of no use to production application, right? So before you move this database to production, you need to remove it. You may need to make sure like it's empty, right? So what you have to do, you just need to go and do a truncate, and then simple name of the table, truncate uh, demo1. Truncate table is completed. Now if you go and run the same command, you see count is 0. We do not have any row in this table demo1, right? But table structure is still present. Table is still there. Like for example, if you want to do an insert, right? Insert. Uh, okay, let's not go into the deep, right? Okay, let's leave it, right? So now the structure is still there. Earlier you've got multiple rows, but that is now all gone. All those 1 lakh records are now successfully removed. Now you have got what? You have got 0 count, because you have truncated your table. Truncated a table meaning you have emptied a table completely. Table structure will remain the same, but it will be truncated. Okay, next command is comment. I'm not going to discuss this because this is more kind of an application development thing. Like when you once you want to put a description or a comment about a table. Like for example, I am a very new guy in any environment, right, in development environment, and I want to understand this environment or architecture first. So the previous developers, what they did, they actually put a comment on every table, like the purpose of this table, right, in a short form. So you can do that. So that is also kind of a DDL category um, statement. Now, let's leave it about the rename, because we already tried alter table rename, right, where we try to rename a column. So that's also the same. Now, talking about DML, we tried insert, how we insert rows, how we update, how we delete, right, how we merge, not merge actually, and it's actually not required any explanation, right? So insertion, update, delete are the core DML or data manipulation language commands, right? Let's leave about the merge, call, explain. If you remember, explain is the command which we used in the last session to get the execution plan. So that's also kind of a DML statement, right? So insert, update, delete, explain is something that you'll see quite often, and you have to use it quite often, right? So that's called as a DML or data manipulation language command. And yes, if you want to explore much about them, always use -h. It will provide you a list of commands with the syntax that you can try. Right. Next is the DCL or data control language, grant and revoke. For example, if you remember, like earlier we tried to access a table that was part of a different user, and this current user, we tried to do a select, doesn't have the viewing permission or privileges on that table. So what happened, we actually tried to give a grant on that table. So we did a grant select on the table to that XYZ user. So that's how you grant a permission to insert, update, or delete on that table, right? So that's how you do it. And if the same way you want to keep, you want to give the permission for a short while, you don't want to make it for a very long, right? Because that could be dangerous, right? So you can anytime you can go and revoke that permission or privilege from that specific user using a revoke command. So these two commands falling under this category or division or integration called sorry, not integration, a division called as DCL or data control language. Talking about commit. How you do the commit, right? So commit is what? Like though Postgres is an auto commit database, right? We have already discussed earlier, right? But if you want, if you have actually put anything in between your begin and end block, right? In that scenario, what you have to do, then you have to, you have to first of all, uh, okay, let me show you. Okay, let me do a real time example. DT plus, okay, right? So let's do a begin. Let's first of all check what's there in the Tesla table. Select all from Tesla. For example, now I want to modify this value from ID 102 to ID 1019 to 666, for example. So let's do under begin. Okay, begin block has been started. Now do an update. Uh, update Tesla, the table name. Set ID equals to 666 where ID equals to 102. So what I'm prompting, what I'm actually instructing the database to do, update table Tesla, especially the column ID with this value 102. So make this value 102 to 166. That's it. Let's execute. OK, this update is successful. But now here, because right now you are still connected with the session, if you go and do a select on this table Tesla, you will see your value has been successfully changed, right? So now you've got 666 instead of 102. Now you've got 666, right? Do not worry about the order like earlier it was on top position, right? But right now this latest entry is here, right? So you got 666 instead of 102 because you've modified it. And now let's see what will happen. Like I am a different user, right? I have a, what happened? Hey, why it's slow? Okay. Okay, if you go and do a select on Tesla table, now you'll see the value is still 102. I am a different session, right? I'm connected with a different putty session, right? I have a different, different session created for that specific putty session. So because I am the one who actually modified this thing under the begin block, right? And then I've made that update statement. So because I am the owner of this change, so I'm still seeing that new value. But I am a different user. I still see 102 because you haven't committed anything. That's the reason. So in order to maintain the consistency for rest of the user, the moment you are doing operations in the begin and end block, so you are the only one who see the changes and rest of the user will still see the older thing, older values. Now, as I told you, Postgres is an auto commit database. Yeah, you might question me, right? But as I'm doing things under the begin block, right? So you have to manually or explicitly end it, right? And how you end it? The moment you type end, it will do a commit for you automatically, right? That means now you have asked database to make these changes persistent and available for all of the user to access or view. Now let's do the same select. Now I'm the different session. Earlier I was seeing 102. Now what's the thing? Now I've started seeing 666 as a value. Now the data is consistent for each one of them, right? So that's how this begin and end block work. Correct. So that's how you do a commit. And same way, for example, if you realized here you don't want to make a commit, right? So you can write rollback instead of here. So that's how the 666 value will be reverted back to 102, right? So that's how you do the rollback. And DRL or DQL, data query language, all of the selects what you do in your database is falling under this category called as DQL or data query language. All right. And guys, yeah, one more thing, like today will be the last session because there is no need for a Monday session on Monday because I've covered all of those things already in these sessions, right? And in fact, few of the things I'm going to cover right now next. Okay, moving ahead. Now, this I guess will be the last slide, but this is important because these are the things that you might have to do during day-to-day day-to-day jobs, right? So what is action in PSQL or PostgreSQL? So we already explained or understand that keeping things or running under the begin and end block means you are running a transaction. This is a transaction. This is not a command. But this simple is select all from Tesla is a simple mere command. But when you do things, you select or big update, delete anything under the begin and end block, that means you are doing a transaction in PostgreSQL, right? Okay. Now, how to check what is running on the? I mean, you know, uh, let's go back here and now let's do clear. Fine. Now let's start with the some basic operations like some day-to-day duties of a DBA or an administrator, right? Or an for a newcomer as a DBA, right? What all things that they have to do, right? Uh, and yes, before that, I need to make you understand like what are catalog tables, right? Catalog, because I told you like you have after creating your database you have to initialize it using initdb command, and during that process only it will basically create the catalog tables or information schemas. What is that? So if you remember, like this Postgres actually stores metadata information about the database and the cluster in the form of PG tables or views basically, which are called as the system wide tables. So if you remember, for indexes we've got PG underscore indexes, right? For locks we've got PG locks, right? For database we've got PG underscore databases, right? So those all tables which starts with PG underscore are basically are catalog tables or catalog views, right? Those are default or inbuilt tables. You haven't created them, but they were created by the database himself during the time of initialization. Correct. So these are called as a catalog tables. So let's do a test. Uh, let's see any of those tables who have index. Yes, this table's got index. For example, how you can check about the indexes dt hyphen di, right? So here, if you see, I actually entered dt. I merged two meta commands, hyphen dt for tables and hyphen di for indexes. So instead of typing two separate commands, I merged these two, right? So first, it will provide me a list of tables. If you see, all of these are tables, right? And then the DI means indexes, list the indexes that we have got. So these many indexes we have on these many tables. Like we've got this table called a my tab. Now, interestingly, if you see, like I've actually created a table with some Unicode, right? With some emoticons. So basically, I've created a table with this snake shape. So yeah, that's also possible in Postgres, right? So, but there is a way. It's I was actually kind of doing some testing. So yeah, I've created at that point of time a table name with a snake name, right? Forget it, right? So now because you have merged two commands, so first it will provide you list of tables and then followed by list of indexes di, right? So now you got this information of tables and indexes through meta commands. But if you want to get the same information through indexes, then you can always go through to catalog tables or catalog view. Table name, uh, index name from PG underscore indexes, where table underscore name equals, let's say my table p key, right? Okay. Huh? What happened? Let's describe this table first. Select table name, index name from PG indexes, where table name equals, oh sorry, yeah, table name is my table, right? That's a mistake I did. Huh? Ah, oh, I'm so sorry. Where table equals, right? Where uh, sorry, table name equals, what's the name of the table? My table. Okay, you got that information, right? So same information which earlier you got through, that command called as or a meta command called as dtdi, right? These two indexes. Now we have got the same information using pg underscore indexes. That's an inbuilt table or a system wide catalog table, right? Okay. And for example, if you remember, like we have use a table, like we tried a vacuuming, full vacuuming and analyze and everything in previous class, right? So if you want to check the statistics, like how many times that table got vacuumed or auto vacuumed, or if not analyze what was the date and everything, so you can use pgstat user table, pgstat user table. So this is also a catalog table. You haven't created it, right? This is not a user created table, but it was created by the database during the initialization time. What else? And for example, like we have got desk pg underscore database for database specific information, right? So we have got this view or a table, right? And for logs, for example, desk, if you want to check for logs, what are logs right now on tables? So we have got pg underscore logs, right? What else? PG stat activity. That's very important. For example, if you want to check what's going on in your database, right? Who's running what with what ID or PID, right? So then you can always go PG stat activity, PG stat activity. Yeah, these many things what you got, right? Okay, what else? PG stat BG writer. Yes, describe PG underscore stat underscore BG writer. So this provide you information about the statistics about the background writer, right? The process which writes the dirty block from buffer area or the memory area to disk, right? So you can get that information. Similarly, you've got lot of tables, right? Which using which you will get information or details about the metrics or statistics about the database, right? For example, if you want to see all of these tables, right? Which start with this, select all from. Before that, let's do a desk information. Sorry, information schema. Yeah, information underscore is underscore. Yeah, I guess yes. Schema. Yeah, tables. Okay. Yes. So, uh, not equals to public. Select all from information schema table. Where uh, table schema is not equals to public. Okay, so what I did, I actually looked out for all of the tables in the database, but not the one which are owned by public. No exclamation equals to sign means not equals to. So that means I want everything present in this information schema, especially this table name, right? But which are not with the owned by public schema. So if you see like PG role, PG shadow, PG or PG extension, PG statistics, right? PG config, right? What else we got? Like PG as stat activity, which we just discussed, right? PG index, PG stat, right? And we've got lot many PG table space, PG range, the group, PG underscore tables, PG underscore views to list all of the views. So instead of typing slash DT to list all of the relation or table, you can also query PG underscore table to get that same information, right? Okay, so that's how it actually works, like information schema. So these are called as the catalog tables, which are default tables which you haven't created but created by the database itself during the initialization phase, right? Now let's move to the random commands, some day-to-day commands. Okay. Righty. Now, for example, if you want to check the location of the configuration file, so this is how you can do it. Config file. So this will provide you the PostgreSQL file location. So if you go, yep, this is your primary configuration file, right? Mhm. So this is the file which is present here. I'm talking about this file, right? So this is the primary or the chief configuration file. If you do not, or if you are logging for the very first time and if you're not sure what's the location, so you can also check data directory, because usually it always present under the data directory. If not, you can also check the configuration file, quick command, right? Show. version, which provides you, sorry, select version. What's the version of the database, right? And now, for example, if you want to check what's all is running in the database, like for example, someone is complaining, right? There is some problem. System is slow, database is slow. So you want to check what's going on, right? PG stat activity. Okay, so it says these things. Do not worry about, because these are part of the Postgres Enterprise Manager, right? So this has nothing to do as a client connection, right? Let me do -x and then okay. Now what is this? This provided you the PID, and what's the process? This is basically an auto vacuum process, correct? So we are not worried about it. Next is logical launcher. Replication launcher is running. Yeah, it's required, right? Next is DBMS AQ process running, correct? And then uh, yeah, then we've got as a PEM for Postgres Enterprise Manager. These all of these are not user connection, but are tool specific or background process and specific processes which are still active and doing its work. That's why, right? And if you want to check, select only active processes. Select all from pg underscore stat underscore act, uh, activity, where state equals active. Hmm, yeah. State equals to active. So then it's presented only a single output, and it says this is the query, because I am the one who actually with this PID 87653 is my PID. I'm connected with the PSQL Enterprise DB as a username, right? And I'm currently active, and I'm basically a client backend connection, right? So I was the one who actually executed the same command, right? So that's why it's saying only single process is right now active and was using this query, right? And how much time, what the query start time is this. So using these instructions, using these results, you can identify which is a long running query or the query which is idle or it's not doing any work and still waiting or something like that, right? So you can always go and check that. Let's do a demo here, right? We've got this table, right? Let's do a select on the, I've got this big table. This has got 995 MB size. Select all from large test. And once we execute it, because this is large table, this will take some time to complete. So at the same time, let's do this one more time, right? So now after I execute that query from the second session, I should start seeing some more results as a active. Yes, you've got the query is still running here, right? Now if you check, yeah, this is my query, right? I am active. And I was the one who actually executed this command. So in case if this query is, if I leave this query to run for a very long time, it will start consuming resources, right? So similarly, I will be able to identify through this PG stat activity. So whenever anyone asks you to check what's going on, if database is slow or not, go and always check PG stat activity view, right? It will provide you what's going on from what long. Let's do a control C. Cancel it, man. Come out of it. Okay. All right, so I've canceled that execution. So now when I cancel it, right, so I should not see. Yes, of course, only one single session, that is my session, should be is visible, right? Okay, that's it about PG stat activity. And for example, yeah, I should once again run that thing, right? Uh, all from large test. So I'm going to execute it, the same query. And for example, you identify as like, OK, this query is running for a very long time, right? And this query is still running. So what you can do, you can identify, because if you check the result, it always come up with the PID. What's the PID or the process ID on the operating system using which this thread or this client backend request is running or that command is running, right? So there is a way how you can kill it. So instead of killing it from the OS using kill-9 command, you can kill it through Postgres as well using pg underscore cancel underscore underscore backend, right? Here you have to mention, you know, process ID or proc PID, what we call, right? So before that, let's re-execute this query. Okay, started running. Let's see what's all going on here in Postgres. Yes, so we've got, yeah, okay, this is that query, right? So let's do a kill. Select pg underscore cancel underscore back end and then pass the process ID. Let's see what's the process ID of this one. Process ID is this, right? Let's pass it here. Press enter. T means true, right? PG cancel backend request successfully completed. Yes, and at the same time, if you see, if I was the user, I will immediately get this request canceling statement due to user request because I am the DBA. I have the privilege, and because you have running this query for a very long time and it's still doing some work, and entire system is clogging and is right now snailing. So that's why I have to forcibly cancel this running SQL after identifying the PID, PID through this PG stat activity. So the PID of this query was this. Okay. Uh, okay. What else? Yeah, maybe I should go back to the bin directory and makes you familiar with few of the other utilities. Okay. Okay, let's talk about OID to name. It's very useful because wow, because I just remember this morning itself I use this utility. That's why I want to discuss about it. Right. So what happened is, like, for example, if you want to, because if you remember earlier, you have to first identify the OID of the database, right? And then you get the name, or otherwise if you have the name, then you can get the OID. That's a complicated way to do that. So using this OID to name utility, just type it. It will provide the OID for you automatically in a single shot, right? With the database name and its table space information. Because earlier, for to get OID for its respective database name, you have to execute two different or separate commands, right? And then the table space as well. So instead of having three separate commands, you can always go and use this useful information utility called as OID to name. So it will simply maps the OID data to its name. I mean, to database name. Okay. One is always for the template database, right? Fine. What else I should explain? I think it's enough, right, for today. Uh, okay, yeah, maybe one more thing. Uh, okay, for example, you've got this table. Oh, sorry. You do remove the extended display. Yeah, so you got this list of tables, and now if you want to check the physical file location where the data file of that table is located, how you can do that? Do select pg underscore uh, relation underscore file class of file path, and then the name of the table. Suppose demo1 you want to know where exactly on disk we have the physical file for demo1 table. Once you press enter, yes, the location is base directory. Go to base directory, go to 16384, and then this is the file number. Okay, let's go and check. Go to base directory. What is the base directory location? I have already created a shortcut, basically an environment variable to go to this. So yeah, this is the data directory. So this is the base directory. He was pointing to cd base. And what next? Go to 16384. Okay, cd 16284. 16384. I'm so sorry. 384. Okay, I'm in, right? It has got so many files because these are the files which are for for the other tables too and indexes. But the data file for demo1 is 324272. Okay, 324272. Okay, here it is. This is the file, right? So that's how you will be able to locate uh, the details about it. Why it's showing 0 as size? Because this demo table, because if you remember, we just truncated this table few minutes back. So that's why the size is not 0 byte. That's why, right? And similarly, if you want to check path for this other table called large test, right? Uh, so this is 995 MB in size. Its location is 322910. I mean, file name is 322250. 32910, sorry, 3229110. Okay, we've got it, right? So we've got a file, the data file, and its respective FSM or free space manager. Free space manager, as I earlier discussed, is a file which provides information about used block, like how much free space is left and then the block information. So this is very useful file, right, while doing the indexing. When you have an index created, so that index always go and use FSM free space manager file in order to locate the rows. Okay. Uh, for example, you've got information like if you want to check you are there in this directory, right? You've got so many things. If you want to check what is this file, right? Okay, let's say what is this file? What is the table name or what's this? Is this object table or what? So you can also get this reverse information, the PG uh, file node relation, file node relation, and then you can pass the uh, table space name. For example, I'm passing 0 as a table space name, 14118, right? Okay, 14118. Okay, so it's basically for SQL package. Information schema is one of the default schema, and within that there is this table called a SQL package. Let's see if this is a table or not, or this is some kind of object. Yes, this is a table. This is what it contains, right? Okay, that's it. I mean, you can get the reverse information as well. What else I should discuss? Okay, yeah, size of the database. I mean, we've checked. I mean, we can get size of the table using dt plus command, right, to provide you the size information. But what about the entire database? If you want to check size of the database, right? So you can also go and check L plus command. Like for example, enterprise DB size is what? It's 1039 in MB. It's one of the biggest one. Next one is 97 DB, 97 MB with the benchmark database, right? But with through command line, if you want to check, then there is this very easy command. Uh, don't worry about it because I'm very familiar about this command line because these are some frequent commands which we have to use. So you're well versed with it when you frequently start using them. Otherwise you need not to remember them or make a note of them. But when the moment you start using them, you it will be familiar and you will be memorize them. pg underscore size underscore pretty, right? And then this PG total relation size, right? PG underscore total underscore relation underscore size, right? And then the name of the sorry, we need to check on uh, database first, right? Started explaining about if you want to check the table size, PG underscore database underscore size, and let's check for enterprise DB. What's the size? Did I? Oh yeah, mistake. I did a mistake. Yeah, two quotes. Here, like. Okay, so the size is 1039 MB. Yes, it's matching this result as well, right? Fantastic. So yes, in the same way, if you want to check size of a table, then PG total relation size is the function that you have to use. PG total relation underscore size, right? And then you have to pass the name of the table. For example, if you want to know the size of this table, let's say this my table, do it like this way. Oh, once again a mistake. Closing bracket. Yeah, 13 MB, right? So that's how you can get the same information. Correct. uh, oh, one more thing about logging, right? You're all good. Yes, if you remember, like if we go to this directory, logging directory, because this is very important because every now and then you have to go and check the log files. Okay, let's check the log file, right? So right now, if you see, this log file only contain error and statement information. It doesn't contain anything else, right? So if you want to log every detail, whether it's a DML, DDL, or any type of every information, what you have to do, so you can go and first of all, let's check this value of this logging parameter which controls the behavior. Like if you want to log everything that happens in your database, then log underscore statement. Oh, sorry. Right now, log underscore statement is none. That means it's not capturing anything. Only error message is what is it's capturing for us right now. The possible modes are DDL, if you want to capture only DDL, or modes, or all. All means capturing everything, right? So let's do it like this way. Let's connect with the Postgres database, right? And let's do, and instead of that, let's do it like this way. Uh, log underscore statement, log underscore. Okay, yes, uncomment it, and then make it all, right? We have made the change. Now, if you go, because you have just made the change and this requires a bounce, will still show none. It's previous value, though we have modified it to value all by making a change to Postgres conf file, because this is a static file, right? Your database has already started using this, right? So what you have to do now, you can go and stop, start, or take a bounce of your database. And how you can do that? Well, there are multiple ways. You can do pg reload conf as we tried earlier, or else pg underscore ctl, then reload or stop start, right? So let's do a pg reload so that we'll see if this change has been successfully made persistent, right? Conf true means I am successful, right? Now let's see log statement. It's all. Earlier it was none, but now after doing this pg reload configuration, because we ask database to refresh the database quickly, right, and reread the configuration file, right? Well, there are certain other things that actually comes into the picture once you do the pg reload config. Then there is a concept of auto postgres.auto.conf file, but I'm not going to discuss that. Let's not go into the depth of it, right? So that's how you made the change, right? So now you have made, you have modified your database. Let's see. Let's run this file once again. I mean, this command once again, right? And let's do some errors. Right? Uh, Now, if you go back, guys, just give me a second. Just give. I'm back. I'll be back. 1 second. Okay, I'm back. I'm so sorry. Guys, are you there? Hello.
Yes, Prashant. Yes, Prashant.
Okay. All right. So let's go to the log directory, and you'll see we've got a new file created for us after that reload. Now, if you see, now that file, which was earlier only logging error, hint, and statement and specific information, now it has started capturing, update information, and everything that, ran on the database, right? Because these are some background SQLs which was executed. As I told you, like I have actually configured from other tools as well with this. So this PEM is Postgres Enterprise Manager as well, which is configured. So those statements also now started capturing here. If you see, the size is pretty big. It's got so much information, right? Look, right? So this time, everything that is connected with the database and performing anything will be captured here, right? But you need to be very careful. Why I'm saying that? Because imagine for such a busy database, if you have configured log statement to capture everything, all information, so the size of this file will be huge, and especially IO activity will be increased by many fold. So it's advised not to log everything. Instead, you can write custom way, custom method, or else captured DDLs only, right? Not this. So yeah, that's it. I guess I don't have anything else to discuss about this, right? Let's quickly go back to that. So yeah, all of these things I have already covered, right? Though in not a particular way, order or fashion, right? Because you know I remember these topics, so everything that comes into my eye, I started explaining about it. So that's it. That's the end of this Postgres basic course, guys. I wish you happy learning this Postgres administrator and Postgres database, and your new journey that might be very soon going to embark with our team as a infra and a DB guy, right? So thank you very much for joining the session, guys. Any questions you have?
Yeah, Prashant. Prashant, just to confirm that, like when we taking a backup of the database, right? Let's say even it is full backup or partial backup.
Mm.
So for in default, what will be the retention time for that backup whatever we are giving into the folder?
Again, as I told you, you are creating a backup using pgdump and pgdumpall.
Yep.
These utilities doesn't have any retention kind of a concept, right?
Okay.
What you can use, there are some dedicated tool called as barman, right? Barman and bart is a tightly coupled or integrated tool which comes along with Postgres database, that is used to take incremental differential backup, cumulative backups, these kind of backup what you can do. Or else there is a very popular tool nowadays called as pg backrest, pg underscore backrest, right? Let me show you. So this is my blog. So this is the place where I actually write about my experience with databases, especially with Oracle and Postgres and its performance. So I recently wrote, not recently, April 8th was the time when I actually wrote about PG Backrest. So PG Backrest is one of the popular solutions that has gained popularity recently, right? And this is how you configured it, and you can take a incremental backup, differential backups using PG Backrest. So as I told you, like PG base backup, PG dump, all these are some default utilities that comes along with the default installation of Postgres, but they are not that flexible and not even performant. But if cost is a constraint, if customer don't want to spend any money, right? So you can go and still use those tools. Or if your database size is small, not that busy, then again you can also rely on those kind of tools. But your database is complicated, it's big, it's critical, then of course you should rely, or you should start using barman as a backup tool, or else bart. But bart is something that is outdated. And recently, EDB announced that they will not do any kind of updates and research and development in the field of BART as a backup tool. So they'll have their own plans. Now their focus will be on Barman because they purchased the another company which is earlier has its own solutions for Postgres. So now Enterprise DB or EDB has a lot of other solutions. So instead, learn about Barman and PG Backrest. Okay. So in case
Okay.
of any doubt about anything, because it's been a while since I updated my website or blog because I was not well, right? So otherwise, I keep on posting about a lot of things here. You just need to, keep an eye or keep a watch. So recently,
Okay.
I started writing about Postgres. Otherwise, I write about Cassandra and Oracle database as well. So I writing this blog for a very long time. Like for if you do a selection on the basis of the month, like May since 2012, I'm writing about databases and my experience and about other skill sets. Right.
Okay.
So thank you very much, guys. Any other question?
No. No, Prashant.
Okay. Thank you so very much, guys. I really enjoyed, this session because, I always, happy to talk about things that I know and to share a little bit knowledge that I have about, about the databases. So I once again wish you happy learning and for your journey that you have already started with Environment Center. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you so much,
Thanks,
Prashant,
Prashant.
for
Hi, Arun.
explaining
Hi,
all this.
Raghavan. Yeah,
Yeah,
so this is the last class. As I told you, no session on Monday. So, but still, I am open. I mean, in case of any issues, problem you face, you can anytime, let me know. Okay.
surely we will do.
All right, man. Bye bye. Take
Thanks
care,
and
Okay.
guys.
take care.
Bye.
Yeah,
Bye,
Prashant.
bye.
Yeah. Okay. Bye.
Arun,
Uh,
stop the recording.